Hi, my name is Lisa Estrada.
My name is Susie Duban.
And my name is Diana Verde, and today is March 27th, Tuesday, and today we are interviewing Mr. Felix Kury.
Okay, Mr. Kury, can you tell us where you were born?
I was born in San Francisco. That's your first shot, right? First surprise.
Sí.
Yes.
So what was your childhood like growing up in San Francisco?
As soon as I was born, maybe I was here for 5 or 6 weeks or 2 months. The family just went back.
Where's back?
El Salvador to San Miguel. So I grew up in San Miguel in the eastern province of El Salvador.
How was it like going back to El Salvador and growing up there? How was the community? How was your childhood like in El Salvador?
In a small town, I think maybe 50,000 people in there. In the beginning, we used to live right in the middle of town, in the old part in front of the cathedral and the municipal house. And I have fond memories of that. That's where I grew up. That's what Father Romero was the priest. So I had all kinds of memories of that town, good memories and crazy memories. You know, growing up in a dictatorship, under the military.
And how was it? How was growing up in the dictatorship during that time, especially after the assassination of Monsignor and after?
Well, I left in El Salvador and right before they shut down the university for 2 years, so I couldn't enroll in any classes, and because I was born here, I decided that it was time to come, and I was only coming for a year or two, and because I didn't like it in the beginning, so I was planning just to go back, and by then the university was taken over by the military.
So you came back to educational purposes and to enhance your studies?
Yeah.
States?
Yeah.
And were you still politically active in El Salvador during that time when you were in the United States?
Not when I was in El Salvador. Until I came here is when I was politicized. Was politicized after the coup d'etat, the military coup d'etat in Chile, and that's how I got in touch with, that's when I got involved in politics, and then I kept going back to El Salvador, and then I went to Cuba in '75, and that kind of changed my life. By July 1975, there was a massacre in El Salvador, and that's what I became involved around political work in El Salvador since 1975.
What was your political work in El Salvador?
There were students at the university that I had attended, and I knew some of them. And so hearing that had happened, we began to mobilize here in San Francisco after the massacre of almost 30 students.
Is there any other mobilization that you did with the students in El Salvador during the war in particular?
I mean, this was the first committee formed by Salvadorians in the United States, and as the political situation began to deteriorate, other people began to hear that, because we were active, the demonstrations began to publish a newspaper that had over 10,000 newspapers that we were publishing bi-monthly, and then we used the newspapers as a way to send it back to El Salvador and to any other place where other people from El Salvador were in exile. So we got in touch with a lot of other Salvadorians. So before 77, before 78, before CISPES, there was already 10 committees of Salvadorians that we were connected with and had conference in San Francisco. So, I kept going back and forth until it was not safe to go because there was a massacre that took place in 78. And that newspaper from the San Francisco Chronicle, it says, what FBI assault team seizes 3, and so there were 3 of us who took over the place, and we end up in the front page of the newspaper, and under the threat of Davison, one of the death squad leaders of El Salvador. So.
What would you do when you would go back? You would help?
I was just basically connecting with, with people that I knew or people that I was introduced by friends to be able to have communications with them, to organize better and to denounce what it was going on. I think locally, the Nicaraguans were organizing in opposition to the Sandinista, in opposition to the Somoza. So we were all together working and doing things in the city, organizing. We were really political. There were other people here like Carlos Cordova and other people. We took over the furniture store and opened up the Mission Cultural Center. So we were involved in many social things as a student at San Francisco State, because I finished my BA here.
And during this time frame, how old were you from, helping in El Salvador here in
the age of 25 to
25? So you would say that going to Cuba sparked that political activist in you at that age?
I think that Cuba, for many of us who are Latin Americans, they were not right-wingers and had conscience in terms of it was a generational thing. So we were against the military all over Latin America, and the Cuba seems to be the horizon to follow.
Did you have to hide, or were you able to, roam freely there?
No, I moved, but if I needed to, I wanted to bring music, or protest, and there were groups that were singing, but in order to do that, we have to do that in the bathroom of a house so the neighbors could not hear it, and we were careful, but it was not as it became after the murder of the priest, and we were really active, in the murder of many people.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you feel for the people who stayed there? Given the option that you were able to come to SF.
I think that I wanted to be back, but there was also a need for people to be here doing diplomatic or international solidarity campaigns, and so that's what we did. There were with time, by 1980, we had over 325 committees in different cities, and by then there were many North Americans that were involved, but we were working across different sectors. So from the very beginning, some of us who knew labor leaders, we met with labor leaders. They were students in different universities, so they were organizing professors, those who were doctors, who were in LA, who were in Hollywood, organized people in Hollywood, and there were Salvadorians who were volunteering to move to any city in the United States when they were first coming in as refugees, to be in a place, in a church or in a small town where the representative was a Republican and we needed to oppose the war. And so it was a collective effort. And none of us were getting paid, or it was all volunteer work. So we created all kinds of alliances and at the national level, and then later on, we were formed outside in terms of providing solidarity to El Salvador, to our people, before the FMLN became a party. When the FMLN formed is when the split happened among all of us here, because we were all working under one unified committee, but as people came in, people began to work with their own tendencies. There were 5 political tendencies among the FMLN. Some were socialists, Democrats, some were anti-communists, some were communists, But we were all united against the military and fascism. July 79, my wife was from a family of Sandinistas against the dictatorship. We met at a rally on 24th Street, and we work all the time, and so I was doing mental health right on 23rd and Tap in a 3-quarter warehouse. So that place became like a home for refugees. They knew all the way with the contacts that we had in Mexico or in El Salvador, if people needed help, people came in, people who were tortured, were having all kinds of needs, and we began to do other things. We set up committees to support refugees. So then I went back to school, got my license as a family therapist, so I was working with Survivors International, working with many people that were coming back, having those issues, aside from being a mental health counselor in the city. So in the process of doing all of that work, began to focus on the issues of impunity. So became really involved in supporting the opening of the Center for Justice and Accountability, which served as a place to bring charges, at least civil cases, to militaries who have tortured Salvadorians that were living here, and military people who were getting political asylum. And we worked on that, and in the process, the elections began to happen in El Salvador, and there was another friend who was Salvadorian who said, maybe you want to go to Cuba and take your students to Cuba. And so I began to take students to Cuba, and after, started in 1996, so by 2005 is when we began to with former students who are now doctors to work.
So, with all of that,
What made you open Clínica Martín Baró?
Decided that, it was 187, all the anti-immigrant feelings that were happening here across the country, and services were being denied to Latinos and documented people. So we came up with the idea that it was not enough to be critical of the system, that we needed to do something. So we opened in 2007, but it took 2 years to get that.
Were there any conflicts trying to open La Clínica?
Yes, it was really an uphill battle. It took about 2 years for the medical students to convince, to sway the administration of UCSF to open up a space like Clinica.
And what are some reoccurring health issues that you see among the Latino population, both mentally and physically, ever since the opening of La Clínica?
I think the issues of extreme poverty, marginalization. So we have people who were working more than 50 or 60 hours a day, not having health insurance, having forced to eat terrible and unhealthy food to survive and send remittances to their families. That impacted their health, and so we have lots of people with high blood pressure, diabetes. In terms of mental health, people fleeing violence, war, the gang imposition, that came out of Los Angeles. Another U.S. Pathology born in this country. And so we have many people, even to this day, somebody will show up who just crossed the border not that long ago. But people are resisting and fighting and trying to survive. And part of what we do is to rehumanize their experience, their own experience. Because sometimes when you've been often when you're traumatized, as you are dehumanized, it's hard for you to believe there are other people who can treat you as a human being. So that relationship with our students, with the doctors, with the community, with the way that we follow Martin Barreau legacy, right? That we need to break away from psychology, from that Western colonial way of seeing things really square, to really break those boundaries, to accompany people, to be with them, to support, to cry, to help them.
What has provided you the greatest satisfaction throughout your life?
Mis dos nietos, my two grandkids are just, and other people who are like family. Things are going to get better in spite of how difficult things are.